Chosen one, take a breath. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove anything. Right now, this is simply a moment of stillness where your spirit is allowed to listen without fear. If you felt drawn here, not pulled by urgency but by a quiet sense of familiarity, that is already enough. Sometimes awakening doesn't begin with a shout. Sometimes it begins with a gentle recognition that you are safe to pay attention. You have been carrying a lot, more than most people ever realize. And yet, there is a part of you that has remained steady, observant, quietly aware that your life holds meaning beyond survival and routine. You may not have had the language for it. You may have doubted yourself. But deep inside, you have always known that you are here for a reason, even during seasons when nothing seemed clear. This message is not here to pressure you or demand instant transformation. It is here to remind you of something you already sense. You are allowed to wake up slowly. Awakening is not panic. Awakening is remembrance. It is the soft return to truth after a long season of noise, expectations, and borrowed identities. And if you are honest, you have been feeling that return for a while now. There were moments when you felt out of place, not because you were broken, but because you were growing beyond what once fit. Moments when familiar paths stopped satisfying you. Moments when restlessness crept in, not as anxiety, but as a quiet invitation to look inward. Those moments were not weaknesses, they were signals. Your spirit stretching, your awareness expanding. You don't need to judge your past for not moving sooner. Timing matters. Preparation matters. There are things you understand now that you could not have carried before. There is strength in you now that had to be formed slowly through experience, disappointment, endurance, and patience. Awakening does not erase your past. It integrates it. Nothing you walked through was wasted. What is happening now is subtle, but significant. You are beginning to listen differently. You are noticing what drains you and what nourishes you. You are becoming more selective with your energy, more protective of your peace. This is not withdrawal. This is discernment. Chosen ones often awaken not through dramatic events, but through clarity, a growing unwillingness to live disconnected from truth. There is no condemnation here, no threat, no fear, only an invitation to honesty. Are you willing to acknowledge that you are changing? That what once distracted you no longer satisfies you the same way that comfort without purpose feels hollow? These realizations are not meant to overwhelm you. They are meant to orient you. Awakening does not demand that you know your full calling today. It only asks that you stop ignoring the quiet voice that keeps nudging you toward alignment. Rising begins internally, with permission. Permission to take your inner life seriously. Permission to trust that your sensitivity is not weakness, but awareness. Permission to move at a pace that is faithful, not frantic, as the ancient words still speak through the apostles' writing in the book of Ephesians. Chapter 5, verse 14. Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Notice the tenderness in that call. Awake, arise, shine. There is no accusation there, only direction and promise. You are not being rushed into something you cannot handle. You are being invited into something you were quietly prepared for. And the light that follows is not forced, it emerges naturally when you stand in truth. You are allowed to take this journey one step at a time. Growth does not require urgency to be real. Even small shifts in awareness carry power when they are sincere. What matters is not speed, but direction, choosing truth gently, consistently, and without self-judgment. There is no comparison here, no hierarchy of awakening. Your path unfolds according to the wisdom of your own soul and the timing of heaven. Trust that what is meant to surface will do so naturally, without force, without striving, and without fear. Rest in this knowing you are not late, broken, or behind. You are exactly where understanding can meet courage. And from this place of quiet clarity, your next step will reveal itself calmly, steadily, and with grace. If this message brought a sense of calm recognition rather than fear, honor that. It means your spirit understands before your mind needs to. Take this step gently but intentionally. Support the message by liking and sharing it with someone who may need a softer reminder today. Subscribe to stay connected to what unfolds next. And when you are ready, comment 77 below as a simple declaration. I am awake, and I am open to rising. You have often wondered why fitting in always felt unnatural to you. Not painful in a dramatic way, but quietly uncomfortable, like wearing a garment that never quite rested on your shoulders. You learned early how to observe, how to adapt when necessary, how to appear present without fully blending. And for a long time, you may have thought this meant something was wrong with you, but the truth is softer and far more profound. You were never designed to dissolve into the crowd. Your spirit carries a different frequency, one that notices subtleties others overlook. While many are content with surface answers, you have always felt compelled to look beneath. This is not pride, it is perception. And perception often creates distance, not because you are above others, but because you are tuned differently. There were rooms where conversation felt shallow, ambitions felt borrowed, and values felt misaligned. You tried to adjust yourself, to soften your questions, to quiet your depth. Sometimes you succeeded for a while, but eventually, the tension returned. That internal signal, the sense that you were compromising something essential just to belong, grew louder. This was not rebellion. It was integrity asking to be honored. Being different often carries loneliness, especially before understanding arrives. You may have felt unseen even when surrounded by people, misunderstood even when you spoke clearly. Not because you failed to express yourself, but because others could not meet you at the depth you naturally occupy. This can create a subtle grief, not dramatic, but persistent, the grief of being present without resonance. Yet separation does not always mean rejection. Sometimes it means preservation. There are aspects of you that could not have survived constant exposure, constant noise, constant influence. Sensitivity, discernment, and spiritual awareness require space to mature. If you had fully blended in, you might have lost the very qualities that now define your strength. You were shaped by this distance. It taught you self-reliance, reflection, and the ability to sit with unanswered questions. It trained you to listen inwardly rather than constantly seek validation outwardly. While others learned how to perform, you learned how to perceive. While others chased approval, you learned how to endure solitude. These are not small things. They are foundations. It is important to understand that your difference was not accidental. It did not emerge because you failed to conform. It existed before you even tried, long before you had language for it. There was a knowing within you, a quiet sense of being set apart, not in superiority, but in purpose. That knowing may have been confusing at first, but it was always guiding you toward alignment. As Jesus himself declared to his disciples in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 19, "If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world." Looking back, you can see how your path unfolded differently. Where others rushed, you paused. Where others followed, you questioned. Where others settled, you waited. This waiting was not inactivity, it was formation. You were being shaped internally while the world focused externally. Depth was being cultivated where speed would have damaged you. Your difference also protected you from attachments that would have limited your growth. Certain relationships faded because they could not grow with you. Certain environments became uncomfortable because they were never meant to hold you long term. This was not loss, it was guidance. What leaves your life often does so to make room for what can truly meet you. You are now reaching a stage where separation no longer feels like punishment, but clarity. You are beginning to recognize where you belong, not in crowds, but in alignment, not in constant affirmation, but in quiet confidence. The need to explain yourself is diminishing. The need to justify your depth is fading. You are learning that resonance matters more than recognition. This understanding does not isolate you further, it grounds you. You no longer seek sameness to feel safe. You seek truth. And truth attracts what is compatible while gently releasing what is not. This is maturity, not withdrawal. Discernment, not detachment. Your life has been teaching you that belonging is not about similarity but harmony. You will find your people not where you dilute yourself, but where you are fully seen without effort. Until then, the space you occupy alone is not empty. It is sacred. It is where your voice strengthens, your values clarify, and your direction stabilizes. You were never meant to fit in everywhere. You were meant to stand whole where you are planted. And now, as understanding replaces confusion, you can honor your difference without apology. It was never a flaw. It was the mark of intention. You may not have had a name for it, but you have been feeling it. A pressure that does not come from circumstances alone. A resistance that appears just as you try to move forward internally. This is not imagination, and it is not merely emotional. What you have been sensing is conflict not outward, but unseen. A quiet war that intensifies precisely because you are becoming more aware. The moment a chosen one begins to wake up, friction appears. Not always dramatic, not always loud, but persistent. Thoughts that feel heavier than usual. Doubt that arrives without clear origin. Fatigue that sleep does not fully resolve. It can feel confusing because on the surface, nothing looks wrong. Yet internally, something feels contested. This is often how spiritual resistance first reveals itself, not through chaos, but through subtle disruption. You are not being attacked because you are weak. You are being challenged because you are becoming clear. Clarity threatens what thrives in confusion. When you lived on autopilot, there was little opposition. But as soon as you began questioning old patterns, releasing false identities, and listening more closely to truth, tension followed. This is not coincidence. It is response. There is a reason the struggle feels disproportionate to your actions. You may not have made a bold declaration or a visible move, yet resistance escalated anyway. That is because intention matters. Alignment matters. Even the decision to grow inwardly shifts the atmosphere around you. Light does not need to be loud to be noticed. It only needs to be present. You may have tried to explain this feeling logically. Stress, burnout, overthinking. While those factors can exist, they do not fully account for the depth of what you are experiencing. There is a layer beneath emotion and thought, the realm of influence, belief, and spiritual awareness. And that realm responds when you begin to rise. Do not let this realization frighten you. Awareness is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create steadiness. Knowing that resistance is part of the process prevents you from internalizing it as failure. You are not regressing. You are not losing ground. You are encountering opposition because growth is underway. What matters now is not fighting harder, but standing firmer. Spiritual strength is not proven through constant striving, but through grounded presence. When you remain anchored, resistance loses leverage. When you stop questioning your worth and stop negotiating your direction, pressure weakens. There is wisdom in recognizing when a battle is not yours to overanalyze. Some resistance dissolves when it is named and no longer feared. You do not need to obsess over every intrusive thought or sudden heaviness. Discernment allows you to acknowledge without absorbing. You are learning to observe rather than identify with everything that passes through you. This season is training you to hold your center, to remain aligned even when external validation is absent, to continue forward even when clarity comes slowly. These are not punishments. They are preparations. You are being strengthened in ways that cannot be rushed. As the ancient words recorded in the letter to the Ephesians still echo today, in chapter 6, verse 12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." This truth reframes everything. It reminds you that not every struggle is personal, and not every resistance is visible. When you understand this, you stop turning inward in self-blame. You stop assuming that difficulty means you chose the wrong path. Instead, you learn to remain steady, to choose integrity over impulse, and to trust that endurance is shaping something durable within you. You are not meant to become aggressive or defensive. You are meant to become grounded. Calm is not passivity. It is authority under control. The more rooted you become, the less reactive you feel, and that steadiness itself becomes a form of strength. This is also why solitude has been important. Noise weakens discernment, stillness sharpens it. In quiet moments, you are learning to recognize what belongs to you and what does not. You are becoming more selective about which thoughts you entertain and which emotions you carry forward. This is maturity. You do not need to announce this battle to the world. Much of what is forming in you now is internal, unseen, and therefore protected. Growth that happens quietly often lasts longer. You are being trained to move without spectacle, to build strength without applause. Before moving on, ground this truth in yourself, not with noise, but with intention. At the end of this section, comment the phrase, "I stand steady." This is not a slogan, it is a declaration. It means you recognize the resistance without fear. You refuse to internalize it as failure, and you choose grounded alignment over reaction. It is a reminder to yourself that steadiness is your power. There is a story written long ago that continues to echo into the present. Not because it belongs to the past, but because human hearts have not changed as much as we like to believe. It is the story of Pharaoh not as a villain in a distant land, but as a mirror showing what happens when delay disguises itself as wisdom. Pharaoh was not ignorant of God's power. That is important to understand. He saw signs with his own eyes. He witnessed water turn to blood, darkness covering the land, storms that defied reason. Each plague was not only judgment, it was an invitation. God was not merely demonstrating authority, he was offering Pharaoh repeated chances to respond. And yet Pharaoh's most dangerous word was not no, it was tomorrow. When Moses confronted him and asked when relief should come, Pharaoh answered with calm confidence, tomorrow, not never, not rejection, delay. And in that single word, something subtle but devastating took place. Pharaoh believed he had time. He believed obedience could wait. He believed urgency was optional. This is how delay deceives. It feels reasonable. It feels controlled. It feels safer than surrender. Pharaoh did not deny the reality of God. He postponed responding to it. And each postponement hardened something inside him. Not because God was cruel, but because repeated resistance trains the heart to become less sensitive. What makes this story unsettling is how familiar it feels. You may recognize echoes of it in your own life. Not open rebellion, but hesitation. Not disbelief, but negotiation. You sensed truth, felt conviction, recognized the nudge, and then said, "Later, when things settle, when I'm more ready, tomorrow." But Scripture shows us that tomorrow is not neutral ground. Delay changes us. Each time we postpone obedience, clarity dulls just a little. Discernment weakens quietly. What once felt urgent begins to feel distant. Pharaoh did not wake up one day fully hardened. He practiced delay until it became his reflex. As the voice of God thundered through the events recorded in the book of Exodus. Chapter 8, verse 10. Pharaoh answered Moses, "Tomorrow." That single word marked a turning point, not because God withdrew immediately, but because Pharaoh chose timing over truth. From that point forward, the story accelerates. Each plague intensifies, each warning grows heavier. Pharaoh's heart becomes less responsive, more defensive, more entrenched. The same power that could have delivered him became the power he resisted, and eventually mercy stepped back not abruptly but conclusively. This is the part many overlook. Judgment did not begin when Pharaoh first said no. It began when he kept saying later, when delay became pattern, and pattern became posture. There comes a moment when choice solidifies, when the opportunity to respond softly has passed, and consequences must unfold. This story is not meant to frighten you, but to awaken discernment. You are not Pharaoh. Your heart is not his, but the mechanism of delay is universal. Spiritual danger rarely announces itself loudly. It often whispers, "You have time," and yet, you know there are things you have been postponing, not because you don't believe but because responding would require change. Letting go, trusting without full control, stepping forward without every guarantee. Delay feels safer than surrender until it isn't. The difference between Pharaoh and a chosen one is not perfection, it is responsiveness. Chosen ones stumble, hesitate, question, but eventually, they yield. They recognize that obedience delayed can quietly transform into obedience denied. This section is not asking you to panic. It is asking you to be honest. Where have you been saying tomorrow when truth was asking for today? Where have you been waiting for ideal conditions that never arrive? Readiness is often the reward of obedience, not the requirement for it. What Pharaoh lost was not just freedom, it was timing. There are moments when alignment opens doors smoothly, and moments when the same door must be forced through loss. God's desire was always deliverance. Resistance determined the cost. You are being given this story not as accusation, but as clarity. You still have awareness. You still feel conviction. That means the door is not closed, but awareness without response eventually fades. Sensitivity must be honored to remain alive. If this story stirred recognition rather than fear, receive that as grace. And if this message has helped you see delay more clearly, support it gently and sincerely like the message. Share it with someone who may be negotiating with tomorrow. And subscribe to stay connected to what continues next. Not out of pressure, but alignment. Because rising is not about rushing, but it does require responding while the door is still open. There is a season every chosen one must pass through that feels quieter than expected, emptier than hoped for, and lonelier than imagined. It is the season where things begin to fall away, not all at once, but steadily. Conversations lose depth. Certain relationships no longer resonate. Places that once felt familiar begin to feel heavy. This season often arrives without explanation. And for a while, it can feel like loss. But this is not loss, this is separation. Separation is not punishment. It is preparation. Before elevation, there is always pruning. Not because you are failing, but because you are growing beyond what can sustain you. God does not remove things randomly. He removes what can no longer go where you are being led, and often. He does this gently at first through discomfort, through disinterest, through a quiet inner knowing that something no longer fits. You may have tried to hold on anyway, to keep connections alive out of loyalty, to remain in environments out of familiarity, to continue patterns simply because they once worked. But your spirit resisted, not loudly, not rebelliously, just firmly. This resistance was not ingratitude, it was discernment awakening. Separation feels confusing because it does not always come with immediate replacement. What leaves is clear. What comes next is not. This gap can feel unsettling. You may wonder if you misheard, if you released too much, if you let go too soon. But elevation requires space. New levels cannot be entered while carrying old weight. Look closely at what has been falling away. Many of those things required you to shrink, to explain yourself, to dilute your truth. They demanded energy without offering alignment. God does not elevate what is entangled. He elevates what is free, and freedom often begins with subtraction. This is where trust deepens, because separation tests whether you believe God fills gaps, or whether you believe loss defines you. Chosen ones are often tempted to cling during this phase not because they lack faith, but because they fear isolation. But isolation and separation are not the same. Isolation cuts you off. Separation clears your path. Throughout Scripture, elevation is always preceded by distance. Moses was separated in the wilderness. David was separated in obscurity. Joseph was separated through betrayal and confinement. Not one of them stepped into authority directly from comfort. Each was refined in seasons where their support systems were stripped down to essentials, as we are reminded through the words recorded in the book of John, chapter 15, verse 2. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Pruning is not rejection, it is investment. The gardener cuts not to destroy, but to increase capacity. This is why this season feels so intentional. You are becoming more selective, not bitter. More quiet, not withdrawn. More grounded, not detached. You are learning that not everything deserves access to you, that your energy is sacred, that your time carries weight. These realizations are signs of maturity, not hardness. Elevation requires clarity. Authority requires restraint. And both are formed in separation. When distractions fall away, your inner voice becomes clearer. When noise fades, discernment sharpens. You begin to see patterns you once ignored. You begin to recognize what drains you versus what strengthens you. There may also be moments of grief here. Grief for what could not come with you. Grief for versions of yourself that were necessary once, but not anymore. Allow that grief. It honors the process. But do not confuse grief with regret. You did not choose wrongly. You chose honestly. Separation also reveals something important. You are learning to stand without constant affirmation. You are discovering stability that does not depend on approval. This is essential, Because elevation brings visibility, and visibility tests identity. God will not elevate what still requires validation to function. You are being anchored now so that later, you can remain steady when influence increases. This season is quieter because it is instructional. It is teaching you to listen, to discern, to obey without applause. These are not glamorous lessons, but they are powerful ones. If you are feeling stripped down, simplified, or narrowed in focus, that is not regression. That is refinement. You are not losing yourself, you are shedding what was never truly you. Elevation does not add layers, it reveals essence. Before moving forward, mark this moment, not as loss, but as readiness. At the end of this section, comment the number 144 as a declaration that you accept separation as preparation not with fear, but with trust. It is a sign that you understand what is leaving is making room for what can remain. There comes a point when preparation ends and responsibility begins. Not loudly, not ceremonially, but internally, unmistakably. This is the moment you are approaching now. Stepping into your crown is not about recognition or authority over others, it is about governance over yourself. It is the quiet decision to live deliberately, no longer led by impulse, fear, or avoidance. A crown is not first a symbol of power, it is a symbol of weight. It rests only on those who have learned how to carry responsibility without resentment. This is why the path to this stage has required discipline, patience, and restraint. You are not being delayed, you are being trained to hold what you once admired from afar. Stepping into your crown means accepting that your choices matter more now. Not in a way that should frighten you, but in a way that calls for presence. You can no longer drift the way you once did. You can no longer excuse patterns you have outgrown. Awareness has sharpened, and with it comes accountability not imposed from outside, but arising naturally from within. You may notice that distractions no longer satisfy you the same way. Short-term relief feels hollow. Old coping mechanisms feel exposed. This is not loss of pleasure, it is refinement of appetite. When maturity arrives, the soul begins to crave what sustains rather than what numbs. This shift is one of the clearest signs that you are ready for greater stewardship. Authority always begins inwardly. Before you are entrusted with influence, you must be able to govern your reactions, your emotions, your impulses. This is why your recent challenges have not been dramatic but consistent. Small decisions, repeated choices, daily alignment. You are being tested not on intensity but on faithfulness. The crown you are stepping into is not given to impress others. It is given to stabilize environments, to bring order where there was confusion, to bring calm where there was chaos. This kind of authority does not announce itself. It is recognized through presence. People feel steadier around those who have learned to stand steady themselves. This is also why your path has required humility. Pride fractures authority. Ego leaks power. You were taught instead how to listen, how to wait, how to admit when you did not know. These lessons were not diminishing you. They were fortifying you. True authority is quiet because it does not need to prove itself. There may still be moments when you question your readiness. That is normal. Readiness does not feel like confidence. It feels like willingness. You are ready not because you feel strong every day, but because you are willing to be responsible even on days you feel weak. Strength grows through consistency, not certainty. Stepping into your crown also means releasing fantasies about leadership. Leadership is rarely glamorous. It is often lonely. It requires decision-making without consensus, integrity without applause, and obedience without immediate reward. This is why only those who have endured obscurity without bitterness are trusted with visibility. You are learning to choose alignment over comfort, to do what is right rather than what is easy. These choices may go unnoticed by others, but they are being registered where it matters. Heaven measures faithfulness differently than the world measures success. What looks small externally often carries great weight internally. There is also a deep peace that accompanies this stage, not excitement, but steadiness. You are less reactive, less shaken by opinions, less desperate for affirmation. This peace is not emotional numbness. It is grounded confidence. It signals that your identity is no longer under negotiation. As the Apostle wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 2, verse 12, "If we endure, we shall also reign with him." Notice the condition: endurance precedes reigning. Authority is the fruit of perseverance, not ambition. Reigning, in this sense, is not domination. It is mastery. Mastery of self, mastery of response, mastery of direction. You are being entrusted with influence because you have learned restraint. You have learned that power without discipline destroys, but discipline produces trust. This season may feel quieter than expected, but it is decisive. You are solidifying habits, values, and boundaries that will support what comes next. You are no longer experimenting with identity, you are embodying it. And embodiment always precedes expansion. Stepping into your crown does not mean you will never struggle again. It means struggle will no longer define you. You will move through difficulty with clarity rather than confusion, with purpose rather than panic, with discernment rather than reaction. You are not becoming someone else. You are becoming fully yourself, anchored, responsible, and ready. There is a moment when preparation, separation, endurance, and discipline finally converge into something unmistakable. It does not arrive with noise or spectacle. It arrives as certainty, a calm, settled knowing that you are no longer wandering, no longer becoming, no longer waiting. You are ready to be sent. Being marked does not mean being marked for ease. It means being marked for purpose. Your life now carries direction. Your words carry weight. Your presence carries influence, even when you are unaware of it. This is not because you are flawless, but because you are aligned. Alignment releases authority quietly without announcement. You are stepping into a season where your obedience matters beyond you. Your consistency stabilizes others. Your courage gives permission. Your calm interrupts chaos. This is what it means to be commissioned, not assigned a title, but entrusted with impact. You are becoming someone whose life speaks before your mouth ever opens. What you carry now is not meant to be hidden, not out of pride, but out of responsibility. Light that stays concealed eventually dims. Light that is released multiplies. You are not being sent to impress, convince, or dominate. You are being sent to stand, and standing alone changes atmospheres. There will be people who recognize something different about you without being able to name it. They will feel steadier around you, safer, more clear. This is not charisma. This is alignment bearing fruit. When you live rooted in truth, others sense permission to breathe, to question, to rise. Being unstoppable does not mean nothing will challenge you. It means nothing will derail you. Opposition may still appear, but it will no longer confuse you. Resistance may still surface, but it will no longer define you. You have learned how to move forward without needing constant confirmation. You are sent with discernment now. You know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to engage and when to withdraw. This wisdom was earned through seasons where silence taught you more than noise ever could. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. Marked ones are not reckless. They are measured. They understand that influence is sustained through integrity. That consistency builds trust. That faithfulness outlasts intensity. This is why your path required patience, because what you carry must endure. There is also a new courage in you, not the loud kind, but the settled kind. The courage to be misunderstood without defending yourself. The courage to choose truth over popularity. The courage to walk away from what drains you, even when it looks appealing. This courage is quiet, but it is immovable. You are not sent everywhere. You are sent where alignment already exists, where your presence strengthens rather than strains, where your voice clarifies rather than competes. Part of being commissioned is knowing where not to go. Discernment protects assignment. As it is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you." Notice again the order. Arise first, shine second. The glory follows obedience, not hesitation. This is not about building a platform. It is about embodying truth wherever you are placed. Your life is becoming a reference point not because you seek it, but because steadiness attracts attention. People look for anchors in uncertain times, and you are becoming one, even when no one applauds. Your consistency is teaching more than speeches ever could. Quiet faithfulness leaves traces in rooms you exit and hearts you never intended to influence. Over time, people may forget your words, but they will remember how steady they felt in your presence. You are also learning to move without resentment, without bitterness toward those who could not come with you, without superiority toward those still finding their way. Compassion has replaced comparison. This is a sign of maturity, a sedom. Those who are truly secure do not need to measure themselves against others. As you move forward, remember this: you are not sent alone. You are part of a larger unfolding, even if you cannot see the full picture yet. Each act of obedience connects to others you may never meet. Impact ripples quietly. If this message has resonated with you across these sections, support it gently and sincerely. Like the message if it aligned with your spirit. Share it with someone who may need clarity rather than pressure. Subscribe to stay connected to future messages that continue this journey not as a follower of content, but as a participant in alignment. You are marked not for spectacle, but for substance. You are sent not to strive, but to stand. And you are unstoppable not because nothing will oppose you, but because nothing will turn you away from truth. As this message comes to a close, there is no final instruction being placed on you. No pressure to respond a certain way. No requirement to feel anything specific. What matters most is what stayed with you quietly as you listened, the sentence that lingered, the idea that softened something inside, the moment where you felt seen rather than pushed. Some messages are meant to be carried forward. Others are meant to be held privately. You are free to choose what this becomes for you. If this message was helpful, if it brought clarity, comfort, or gentle strength, you may share it with someone who might need the same space to breathe. Not as a declaration, not as persuasion, simply as an offering. Sometimes sharing is less about agreement and more about care. And if parts of this did not resonate, that is okay too. You are not meant to absorb everything. You are allowed to keep only what touched truth inside you and let the rest pass without judgment. Wisdom often arrives in fragments, not full conclusions. This ending is intentionally open because your journey is still unfolding. You do not need to label it yet. You do not need to define what comes next. Awareness does not demand immediacy. It invites honesty. Carry forward what feels steady. Release what feels heavy. Trust that what is meant to return will do so in its own time. You are not required to explain this moment to anyone. You are not required to act before you are ready. If something here aligned, let it walk with you quietly, and if nothing did, let it go without resistance. Both responses are valid, and wherever you go next, may you move with clarity, with calm, and with the freedom to listen inwardly without fear, without pressure, and without hurry.